Welcome to BBC London with me, Assad Ahmed. Coming up on the programme. 2 teenage boys are sentenced to life in prison for murdering 14-year-old Kellyan Bokassa on a bus in southeast London. He was attacked with machetes.
I stand here not just as a mother, but as a broken soul, whose life changed forever the day my child's life was taken from me by another child using a knife.
We'll get more reaction from Kellyan's family. Also in this half hour, calls to keep safe around our waterways over the summer as the number of drownings increase.
Good luck, Michelle! Come on, England!
From grassroots to Euros glory, we go back to footballer Michelle Adjemang's childhood club in Essex and the artist who's giving a modern makeover to some old household ornaments. First tonight, after several demonstrations outside a hotel in Epping where asylum seekers are housed, the local council has unanimously voted to urge the government to close it. The protest started after an asylum seeker was charged with sexual assault, a charge that Habush Kebatu denies. So what's been the reaction in the town that's been thrust into the spotlight? Well, Thomas McGill has this report.
Normally a sleepy commuter town on the edge of London. But in recent days, Epping has been at the centre of anti-migrant protests outside a hotel housing asylum seekers. Back on the high street today, and widespread condemnation from locals after what started out as largely peaceful protests turned violent.
It's obviously scary and unsettling. Yeah, it's just a nightmare, and it's just throwing up a whole lot of questions about, the bigger picture and the rest of the country.
I want people to say what they mean, but at the same time, I don't want them, deliberately hurting people that are just trying to find a way to survive, the people who are coming here are just coming here to try and find a better life for themselves, so I don't blame them.
I would say that 99.9% of them, I'm sure, are very decent people, and they've got to be housed somewhere.
And what do you make then of the council last night unanimously voting for the hotel to close down, despite having no powers themselves to do it?
No, well, exactly. How it actually ends up is another story, but the fact that they're leaning towards that is a positive.
Last night, the council voted unanimously to call on the government to close the Bell Hotel. During the meeting, the leader of Epping Forest District Council, Chris Whitbread, raised concerns that residents' peaceful protests were being infiltrated by what he described as the extremes of politics. And many in the town agree, like Karen, who is concerned that much of the unrest is being encouraged and promoted online by those from outside the area.
What I feel most strongly about is that there's been a lot of people on Facebook groups and on social media that seem to have been riling and creating this ill feeling. My belief is that some of those people have been doing that deliberately as part of organised groups that aren't necessarily residents in Epping, and it's worked.
Meanwhile, in Canary Wharf, another protest took place earlier outside a hotel there housing asylum seekers. 17 people have been arrested, and with more protests planned this weekend, there's concern here they may not be the last. Thomas McGill, BBC London.
Well, now let's take a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. The Metropolitan Police has released video of the moment it arrested 3 men suspected of stealing over £100,000 worth of smartphones and watches from a shop on Tottenham Court Road. It happened yesterday evening, just before 7:30, with the men arrested on nearby Cranley Street just minutes later. London Fire Brigade has revealed it's rescuing around 6 people a day, most of them not from fires. It said it was mainly called to rescue people from behind locked doors, but said in the last 18 months it had also saved a person trapped in a cat flap. And the Tate Modern says it'll permanently open on Friday and Saturday evenings from the end of September, following the success of a series of late openings. The gallery believes it'll allow more Londoners to visit the gallery after work and boost the nighttime economy. Now, it's been warm again today, and the emergency services are warning against people cooling down in rivers and open water. It's because of the rise in the number of people who've drowned across London in recent years. Hearing what the emergency services have had to say and seeing what tips they give is Matt Graveling, who's by the river in Hampton Court for us this evening. Over to you, Matt.
Yeah, hi Assad, another lovely warm day today. We've been blessed, haven't we, over the last few weeks, and it looks set to continue over the next 10 days with temperatures looking like they'll be around the mid-20s. And on a day like that, what better place than somewhere like here, Hampton Court, right next to the river. But of course, with the water does come danger. And today, on World Drowning Prevention Day, many services have come together to share statistics and talk about just how dangerous the water really can be. The RNLI have said that this year alone they've already had more than 1,200 call-outs to the tidal Thames region, and the London Fire Brigade say that they've had around 380 call-outs from the 1st of January to the 15th of July this year. That is a 29% increase on the same period last year. Now, tragically, this also involved 15 accidental deaths through drowning. That's up almost 4 times on the same period the year before, and it's a number which has increased over the last couple of years, something everybody here wants to come together and try and reduce. And they did that through a day for the public to improve education and information and basically tell us all how to stay safe by the water. As the temperatures rise, so too does this scenario, sometimes bringing with it the most tragic circumstances. Thankfully, this was just a drill, held to highlight the dangers of water and turn the tide on a worrying statistic.
Over the last 2 years, we've seen an increase in sad, fatal drownings within London area. So specifically since the 1st of January and July of this year, we've had 15 fatal drownings. The hot weather certainly doesn't help. When we have the increase in temperature, people see the cool water looks very attractive. Obviously, within that, there's a number of hazards that members of the public might not be able to see. So specifically the unseen hazards, what's underneath the water that might cause difficulties as well.
To mark World Drowning Prevention Day, services from across the capital came together at Hampton Court.
There's a lot of uncertainty around water, particularly around moving water. If you're searching for a person, the way a person behaves in the water, if they're conscious or unconscious, is very different.
New data reveals that younger people, aged 10 to 29, are the most at risk of drowning. So this day was designed to offer skills that could one day save a life.
I thought it'd be really good for him to get some idea. Even though he's tiny, he'll begin to learn about being safe and what needs to happen.
It's the one thing that really just is non-negotiable. I think just knowing that they can go and have fun, but know they're going to be safe at the same time.
15 miles away, and young people were at the heart of another event hosted by the RNLI. Children aged 7 to 14 came together at the Royal Docks to learn the float to live method.
It's more important to stay afloat than it is actually to swim. Sometimes the cold water makes it difficult to swim. Make like a starfish is the message. It doesn't matter if your legs don't float, but basically spread your arms and legs out, keep your head back and your mouth and nose above the water, your ears will be below the water. Practice doing that if you can, when you're in a safe place, so that if you find yourself in trouble, you just know how you float.
So that's advice if you find yourself in the water, but what if someone else is in need of help? If you ever see anybody in trouble in the water, do not go in yourself. The advice is to call 999. The call operator will tell you if there is a Throwline bag box nearby. On that box will be 3 words. Give that to the call handler and they will help you get access to this Throwline bag and also talk you through how to throw it. The services here expect a busy summer on the water and remain ready in case of emergency. But their message to us remains the same. Stay safe, don't become a statistic. Matt Graveling, BBC London.
6 months after a brutal knife attack on a London bus left a schoolboy dead, his killers have been jailed. 14-year-old Kellyanne Bokassa was on a 472 bus in Woolwich when he was attacked by 2 teenagers with machetes. They can't be named for legal reasons, but this afternoon they were given life sentences and told they must serve at least 15 years behind bars. Today's Kellyanne's mother said she was a broken soul. Frankie McCamley was there.
Boarding this busy London bus in broad daylight, a 15 and 16-year-old boy who we can't identify for legal reasons get on with one purpose. They head straight to the upper deck without speaking, pull out large matching machetes, one of which you can see clearly in the centre of the screen. Caught on CCTV, the pair run from the scene, having attempted to stab Kellyanne 27 times. He's left with 8 stab wounds to his stomach, arm and leg. Then one of them throws a knife into the Thames. Later, that's recovered by police, and the boys enter guilty pleas to murder. The CCTV footage of the actual attack was played out in court today for the first time. Kellyanne Bokassa's mother had to leave the courtroom. Both of the defendants' families stayed. One of the defendants' mothers sobbed as she watched her then 15-year-old son try to stab Kellyanne a dozen times. He simply looked bored, stared at the ceiling, yawned and even smiled at times. The sentence of Kellyanne's killers was streamed live from the Old Bailey as the pair were given a combined sentence of over 30 years in prison.
Many of us can only imagine the impact of grief on Kellyanne's mother, father, friends and family. Sitting here as a judge, it is sadly an all too frequent senseless loss of yet another young life to the horrors of knife crime.
Outside court, Kellyanne's mother, Marie, spoke of her frustration surrounding ongoing youth violence in the capital, with too many young boys like Kellyanne losing their lives.
And I hope it's going to be the last, and I'm going to be there for him to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because we really, Kellyanne was burying his best friend just 3 months before, and we had enough. This needs to be taken seriously. It's no more an incident, it's every single month.
Officers leading the investigation into Kellyanne's death welcomed the sentences, but said more needs to be done to prevent these crimes on our streets.
It's vital that murders such as Kellyanne's are at the forefront of the minds of every politician, every policymaker, every police officer, everybody that wants better for children growing up in London. Without this collective effort, we won't be able to tackle knife crime in its entirety.
But the reality is, parents like Marie are losing their children, and those involved in knife crime seem to be getting younger and younger. Frankie McCamley, BBC London.
You're watching BBC London. Stay with us for this.
I'm with the team where it all began for England's super sub Michelle Agyemang, and Euros fever is certainly building.
Good luck, Michelle! Come on, England!
Some people might say this is a load of old rubbish, but you know what? If it makes people smile, then that makes me happy and my job is done.
Once upon a time, London was filled with factories as we created goods for the rest of the country and shipped them across the world. Well, now it's different, but it is still around. Companies like Brompton Bikes in West London are a world leader, and it promotes the fact that the bikes are London-made. They say buyers across the globe love it. So as the company celebrates 50 years, our Work and Money correspondent Megan Owen has been speaking to its founder about how London's manufacturing is evolving.
At the Brompton Bikes factory in Greenford, employees are hard at work, painstakingly handcrafting each bike. It's been 50 years since founder Andrew set up his business in London.
Our roots are here in terms not just of being a London company, so to speak, and known as a London company, but our roots in terms of staff and key staff who come in, and our local set of suppliers here as well.
Dagenham, and once again the British Ford Motor Works make history with the production of the first of their new streamlined 1951 range.
Back in the day, it was in the company of many other engineering workshops, following a period in time when London was seen as a leading centre of UK manufacturing.
There's been a huge change in the face of London, and I, as a man who loves a workshop and likes a bit of dirt under your fingernails, which that's what really gets things done, I'm a bit sad to see, and I do understand why, but so much of that infrastructure of sort of workshop London disappear.
In the last 2 decades, the sector has declined and now accounts for 2% of London's overall income. But there is still hope.
You do still see a post-industrial landscape.
According to academics, including at the University of East London, which overlooks the historic Tate & Lyle factory, dating back to the 19th century.
What we've seen in the past, actually, is large, big, quite dirty manufacturing, so gasworks in Beckton, which used to be a really prominent part of the industrial environment. And actually, it's going back to a more artisanal type of production that we saw pre-industrial times, because actually what people want from Britain globally is really great design.
Bromptons say the fact that their products are made locally is part of the appeal.
If we look at our customers in especially Far East, they really value the fact that it's something that is handcrafted in the UK and in London.
The company has recently had plans approved to open a new factory in Ashford, Kent, but say they have no immediate plans to change their manufacturing in London. The government has recently published its industrial strategy, with plans to drive growth and investment, including support for the Thames Freeport, a special zone with different rules to encourage businesses to invest. From the industrial to the artisan, the nature of manufacturing in London is shifting. Megan Owen, BBC London.
Now, another massive event on tonight at Wembley Stadium. Nothing to do with football this time. It's Oasis. They're back to play the first of their 7 sold-out gigs as part of their reunion tour. Fans have been gathering at Wembley since this morning, where they can enjoy this exhibition of 20 images of the Gallagher brothers. It makes for a great selfie. The pictures were taken in the 90s, and tonight over 90,000 fans will have come from near and far for the concert.
We had to get the coach, which was the last coach available at the earliest time in the morning at 2 o'clock this morning. So it's been a very long journey so far, and we're only 8 o'clock. But it's so worth it, and we really can't wait. We're so excited.
I just love, it's sort of like a rebellion, with the brothers and everything, but also the music's just amazing. I could listen to it all day long, every day.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night, I'm sure. Now, take an unloved ornament from a charity shop, maybe even a car boot sale. Give them to a talented artist, and what you get is something completely new, which reflects our modern living. They're part of a new exhibition in North London, and the artist showed us some of her work, which is here now. Kentucky Fried Chicken box and Adidas, would you believe? You're going to recognise other familiar things as you watch this.
My name is Lucy Bryant, and I am known as House of Lucy, and I specialise in what is known as bricolage, which is the reappropriation of already existing objects. I source porcelain and vintage china from a mixture of charity shops, car boot fairs and antique shops, and then using a mixture of polymer clay, air drying clay and ceramic paints, I then give them a contemporary makeover. With this particular guy, I just knew he had to be Harry Styles, complete with his feather boa. I use a lot of brands in my work, and I've had some really interesting responses from some of these companies. And as a consequence, I've been commissioned by Adidas, Greggs and Primark. The idea behind reappropriating these pieces is that they, to me, are unloved and unwanted. And by me picking them up and giving them this new lease of life, then they become loved and wanted again. I've had some really, really interesting customers in the past as well. So we've had Alan Carr, Mark Ronson, and Sophie Ellis-Bextor has got some horse brasses that I created. I'm particularly drawn to these sort of bucolic, beautiful landscapes, and I always want to put something in there that shouldn't be. So this particular collection is obviously inspired very heavily by Delft, which comes from the Netherlands. But I really wanted to make these contemporary, so the beauty of the British Isles with the gasworks and the pylon and the car in the reservoir and the rubbish bin. My new exhibition, which is called This Town, focuses on the changing face of the high street. So the post office becomes the vape shop and the traditional tea rooms become Poundland. So these candles are all linked to the shops that we loved so much that are no longer with us. So I started off with Woolworths. I still miss Woolworths. Some people might say this is a load of old rubbish, but you know what, if it makes people smile, then that makes me happy and my job is done.
What a great motto that is to have. Now, artist Lucy Bryant was speaking about her new exhibition, and you can see it for yourself at the Camden Open Air Gallery. It's on until the middle of next month. Well worth seeing. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast and Steph. A couple of days of kind of mixed showers, temperatures dropping a bit, but really warm again today.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of a nondescript week, really, after the thundery rain we had the weekend before. And today we saw temperatures hit close to 27, 28 degrees. Wow. So it was warm, although it did cloud up a bit in the afternoon. The weekend's looking mixed. We could have a few showers around. Good news, because many of our gardens do need more rain. Good evening to you. Yeah, it was quite a warm day today for our patch. Into the weekend, a bit more mixed. We'll still have some good sunny spells around, especially on Saturday. But could be the odd heavy, maybe thundery shower. I think mainly on Saturday. In fact, Sunday looks a little bit cloudier. Through tonight, though, any of the cloud we had through the afternoon melts away. We'll see clearer skies. Our air coming in from the west-southwest. So it'll be a mild one. Temperatures, as you can see, even outside the M25, close to the mid-teens. So a warm one to start Saturday. So we have this weather front. It's a cold front sinking south across our region. Behind it, the air's slightly fresher, but it will enhance the cloud and shower activity through the day. So we'll start with a bit of cloud around, some sunshine. The showers will get going as the temperatures lift. Some of them could be heavy, maybe thundery as we head into the early part of the afternoon towards more eastern areas. And then as a front clears through, skies will turn a bit clearer. So we should see a bit more sunshine, I think, towards the end of the day. Pleasantly warm, not quite as warm as today, but not far off. Highs of 23 or 24 degrees. And as we move through Saturday night, we'll see clearer skies because that front's gone through. It's slightly fresher air. So you'll notice temperatures, particularly outside the M25, close to 10 or 11 Celsius, in the capital 13 or 14 degrees. So it'll be a fresher start to Sunday. So most of the action will be taking place across the northwest of the UK. For our region, we've got light winds coming down from the north or northwest and generally influenced by higher pressure that's sitting out in towards the Atlantic. So a fresher start, some sunshine to begin with, and then it looks like the clouds will build. A few showers could develop. Some of these could be heavy. Once again, I think towards more eastern areas. And there's temperatures a bit lower. We're looking at around, say, 19 to 22 Celsius. And then for the rest of the week, it's looking fairly quiet. Again, there will be quite a lot of dry weather around with some sunshine. Tuesday, we could see some heavy, maybe thundery rain as low pressure moves through. Then it could turn a little bit warmer as we push to the end of the new week. Stay tuned to the forecast with the BBC Weather app. Assad.
Thanks very much for that, Steph. Now, before we go, a reminder of some of the day's main news stories. The charity Doctors Without Borders says a quarter of all young children and pregnant women at its clinics in Gaza last week were malnourished. They said the deliberate use of starvation as a weapon of war by the Israeli authorities has reached unprecedented levels. Israel says it will now allow foreign countries to airdrop some aid into Gaza. Aid groups say it won't be enough. Thousands of resident doctors in England have begun a 5-day strike. They want a higher pay increase than what the government says it can offer. It follows pay increases over the past 2 years. US President Donald Trump is heading to Scotland to visit 2 of his golf resorts. He's also due to meet Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer to discuss trade. And 6 months after schoolboy Kellyanne Bokassa was stabbed and killed on a London bus, 2 16-year-olds have been jailed for a minimum of 15 years each. That's it. I'm back at 10:30 with our late news tonight on BBC One. I'm also back over the weekend. Bye-bye.